Okay, 8.2 test review. So the first 6 we are solving using our quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Now, if I tell you to use this method, this is the method you have to use. Okay, so knowing that it equals 0, so we are going to go ahead and find our a, b, and c. A is 3, b is negative 4, c is negative 7, and we're going to build the skeleton. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So a is here and here, b is here and here, and c is here. And then now we simplify the 3 pieces. So 2 negatives makes a positive, plus or minus the square root of something, over 2 times 3 is 6. Now to just simplify my discriminant, it's negative 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7, and that equals 100. So knowing that, I know 100 is a perfect square, and if I'm not sure, I can do second x squared, type in 100, and I get 10. So this becomes 4 plus or minus 10 over 6, which are all like terms. There's no imaginary, there's no radical, so I can type this in my calculator. Once with a plus, 4 plus 10 over 6, and 4 minus 10 over 6. So alpha y equals enter, 4 plus 10 over 6. And then I can do second, enter, and we'll retype it and just highlight my plus and put a minus. So my answer is negative 1 7/3. Okay, now look at number 2, same concept. It already equals 0, so we're ready to get started. A is 5, b is negative 8, c is 4. So I have negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So a is 5, b is negative 8, c is 4. So I know that the double negative is 8 plus or minus, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So now I need to just figure out my discriminant. So that gives me negative 8 squared minus 4 times 5 times 4. And I get negative 16, which tells me there's 0 real answers. There's 2 imaginary answers. So negative 16. And I know that 16 is a perfect square, so I have to take out my negative and put I. And this is going to give me 8 plus or minus 4i. And I'm going to separate my denominator because this simplifies, but they're not like terms. 8 and an imaginary number are not like terms. This doesn't have an I. So they can't combine like we did here. So knowing that 8 over 10 simplifies to 4 over 5, and then 4 over 10 simplifies to 2 over 5, don't forget your I, and because my denominators are the same, I can put it back together. So there's my answer. Okay, so same concept of number 3. So I know a, it already equals 0, so a is 2, b is negative 4, c is 3, type my discriminant, and I get negative 8. So I know that it's going to be 2 imaginary answers. 8's not a perfect square, but it does simplify. So 2 and 4, which is 2 and 2, so I can take a 2 out and a 2 left in. So this gives me 4 over 4 plus or minus, now don't forget your I, so 2i root 2 over 4. I separated because I knew it could simplify. 4 over 4 is 1, so I get 1 plus or minus, and 2 over 4 is a half. So 1 root 2, or just I root 2. You don't have to put the 1. Okay, look at number 4. It's already equal to 0. So I know A is 1, B is 9, C is 10. Simplify my 3 pieces. This becomes negative 9. 2 times 1 is 2. And then my discriminant is 9 squared. Oop. And I get 41. Now, 41 is not prime. Maybe it is. Hold on. Okay, yeah, 41 is prime, just kidding. So that is done. Nothing simplifies, and 9 over 2 doesn't simplify, so there's not worth separating. So there's my answer. Negative 9 minus the square root of 41 over 2. Negative 9 plus the square root of 41 over 2. Okay, so we can look at number 5. So here it's equal to 0, so it's ready to start. A equals 5, B equals 3, C equals 9. Simplify my 3 pieces. This becomes negative 3. 2 times 5 is 10. My discriminant is negative 171, which I know is imaginary. So I'm going to make it positive and put a plus. And then we have to see if 171 breaks down. 171 is not prime. 3 goes into 171 57 times. 57 has a 3, so divide by 3. 19 times, but 19 is prime, so now we're done. So we can take a 3 out. And a 19 stays in. Now, I don't need to separate because 3 over 10, 3 over 10, they don't simplify. So this is my answer. Okay, last one. For this method, well, I know that I can't have a minus 6, so I have to add 6 to both sides. And now it equals 0, so I get negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 8. So now I can find my A, B, and C. My discriminant and I get 0. So 0 tells me I'm only going to have one answer. That's because the square root of 0 is 0. If you add or subtract 0, nothing changes. So it's 8 over negative 4, which is negative 2. Okay, so there's my quadratic formula. Okay, so now let's look at completing the square. So if you look at number 7, first things first, remember, we need to make sure A is 1, and we need to move our C value to the other side. So plus 51, plus 51. So we get x squared plus 14x equals 51. Now I left a space because we need to do plus something. And remember, we do half of our B squared. So 14 divided by 2 is 7, squared is 49. What I do to one side, I have to do the other. So now this side is a perfect square. And I can rewrite it as square root of x squared is x. First sign is plus. Square root of 49 is 7 squared. And then 51 plus 49 is 100. Well, that's a perfect square. So now to get rid of the square, I square root both sides. So square root cancels the square, and I get x plus 7 equals, don't forget your plus and minus every time. The square root of 100 is 10. No square root of 10, just 10. So now I subtract 7 from both sides, and I get x equals negative 7 plus or minus 10. I cannot add and subtract at the exact same time, so I get negative 7 minus 10 and negative 7 plus 10, which leaves me with negative 17 and 3. Okay, now look at number 8. Okay, so same concept. A is 1. I'm going to move my C. I get x squared minus 12x leave space equals negative 23. So plus what? Plus what? Well, half of my B, so half of 12 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So this leaves me with x minus 6 squared equals negative 23 plus 36. And I get 13. So I square root both sides. Square root cancels the square, and I get x minus 6 equals plus and minus square root of 13. 13 is prime, so it doesn't break down. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And there's my answer. I get x equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 13. And there's my answer. Okay, so now look at number 9. Number 9 is the same as number 8, so we're not doing it. My bad, y'all. Okay, look at number 10. So I'm going to add 38 to both sides. A is 1, so I don't have to worry about that. I get x squared plus 14x plus something equals 38 plus something. Well, I take half of my b and square it, and it's 49. So this becomes x plus 7 squared, plus because this is plus. This one was minus because that was minus. Okay, equals 38 plus 49. And that gives me 87. Which I don't know if you know, but 87 is prime. So when I square root both sides, it doesn't simplify it. I get x plus 7 equals positive and negative square root of 87. So I'm going to do minus 7, and I get x equals negative 7 plus or minus square root of 87, and there's my answer. Okay, look at number 11. This one's already set up, so I just need to rewrite it. Plus what equals negative 20 plus something. Half of my b, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. And I can rewrite this as x plus 1 squared, because the square root, plus equals negative 19. Perfect square, or square root. And that leaves me with x plus 1 equals positive and negative. I know there's an I, and 19 is also prime. So minus 1, and I get x equals negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 19. Oop. Same concept, this one's already set up for you, so just rewrite it. Oop. And that should be an x, sorry y'all. So half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So x minus square root of 9 is 3. And then negative 91 plus 9 is negative 82, which I need to break down 82. So 82 is 2 and 41. Well, we just found out that 41 is prime, so this doesn't break down. So square root. I get x minus 3 equals positive and negative. Don't forget the I, root of 82. Plus 3, plus 3. Okay, flip to the back. So these tell you to find the discriminant. Just a reminder, you find your discriminant by doing b squared minus 4 times a times c. So on number 14, this is my a, my b, and my c. So b is negative 8, minus 4 times a is 4, times c is 4. I get 0. Well, 0, just a reminder, tells you only have one real solution. Okay, so let's find our discriminant of the next one. So this is my a, my b, and my c. So b squared is 8 squared minus 4 times a times c. I get negative 224, which tells me I have 0 real solutions, because if I take the square root of a negative, it's imaginary. Okay, if I look at this last one, this is my a, my b, and my c. I know that b is negative 10 squared minus 4 times a is 2, times c is negative 5. And I get 140, which is positive, so that tells me 2 real solutions. Okay, last pieces are word problems. So this says, Kathy jumped off a cliff into the ocean in Acapulco while vacationing with her family. Her height as a function of time could be modeled by the function here, where t is the time in seconds and h is the height in feet. And how many seconds did it take Kathy to reach the water? Well, reaching the water would be a height of 0. So knowing that, I'm going to write this, except I have 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 16t plus 480. And I can find my a, b, and c right away because it already equals 0. So that leaves me negative 16 plus or minus the square root of something over negative 32. So my discriminant here, 16 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 480 is 30976. And now I can type that in my calculator to find what happens when I add it and what happens when I subtract it. So I get alpha, y equals enter, negative 16 plus the square root of 30976 over negative 32. And then I can change that that plus to a minus, and I get positive 6. Well, we're talking about time. Negative doesn't make sense, so my answer is 6 seconds. Okay, let's look at number B, letter B. So when was Kathy 300 feet away from the water? Well, so we want to know when her height is 300. So 300 equals negative 16t squared plus 16t plus 480. Well, before I can start, I have to make it equal 0, so minus 300 minus 300. I get 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 16t plus 180. A is negative 16, B is 16, C is 180. Okay, so knowing that, I'm plugging it in, and I get B is 16, 16, negative 16, negative 16, and 180. So negative 16 plus or minus the square root of something over negative 32. My discriminant is 16 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 180. And I get 11776. This is rounded to the nearest 10, so that would be negative 2.9. And this would be positive 3.9. Well, negative doesn't make sense, so it's 3.9 seconds. Okay, last one says if a toy rocket is launched vertically upward from the ground level with an initial velocity of 128 feet per second, which is already in there, yada, yada, yada. It says, when will the rocket be 200 feet high? So I want to know when 200 equals negative 16t squared plus 128t. There's no c, which is fine. So minus 200 minus 200. And I get 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 128t minus 200. So A is negative 16, B is 128, and C is negative 200. Type my discriminant. Get 3, 5, 8, 4, and now I can type it one piece at a time. Both of them make sense, so we say 2.1 and 5.9 seconds. Okay, good luck on your test.